good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're joining us in the world. I know that this podcast goes out to multiple countries. So welcome everyone to Unshackled with Tash. Again, thank you for listening to last week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed Wendy Jones, or it may have been Dr. Tony Rudd. I'm not sure which order they're going in, but either way, both amazing speakers. Hope everyone's had a beautiful week. I've had a very, very busy week, but productive, and it's been amazing. Still loving all the feedback, loving all the information I'm getting from people. And what I wanted to say is thanks again to everybody that shares my Unshackled. Please follow the Unshackled and pass it on to as many people as you can to get this message across. Which brings me to today's guest. My guest today, I have known for nearly 3 decades. This amazing woman, her name is Emma Butler, is the founder and owner of Danceworks Studio, which is a dance company. But the reason I've invited Emma today is because Emma has a story, and Emma has a story that is going to help a lot of people that have hit rock bottom several times and gotten and unable to get back up. Emma is a true hero. She's a warrior. She has gone through so much, which she's going to explain to people today in this podcast. But I admire Emma because she has absolutely taken a lot of tragedy in her life and she constantly gets back up. She's also done the work, which is all the stuff I talk about. And no, she hasn't done it with me. She's done it with another phenomenal coach who she still has a lot of contact with. But this work is what helps people push through. So before I go any further, I would love to welcome beautiful Emma Butler to Unshackled. Hey, Emma.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. The reason I invited you, Em, is because of everything that I just said. You are one phenomenal woman. And I have watched you go through a lot of stuff. And even when we were going through our own stuff at the same time, we still had a connection.
Yeah.
And there's so much about you. So I've actually written out specific questions for you because you have such a diverse story, and I want everybody to get as much as they can from you today.
Yeah.
And I just want you to be as vulnerable and open and honest, which you always are.
Yeah.
I've got you on camera this time.
There's not much filter here. So.
No, and that's why you and I've always stayed connected, because we're very, very true to our word, authentic, and sadly sometimes we say it as it is.
Yeah.
So my first question to you, Em, is for those who don't know you or know your story, can you take us back to the woman you were before life started throwing you these major challenges?
I guess mostly I've always been riddled with anxiety and didn't know why. I didn't even know that it was anxiety. I was probably in my late 20s when I heard my mum call it anxiety, and I thought, how do you know that? And I don't know that. But as a person, I was the biggest people pleaser. I thought that by having the most friends, being liked the most, having the fullest calendar made me, I don't know if successful is the right word, but if that was my idea of like accomplishment, being the most liked. So I had like lots and lots of different groups of friends because I didn't want to sit with myself at all. I was never one that jumped from relationship to relationship. I had relationships, but I wasn't someone that that has never been like the thing. But unfortunately, you'll see as this goes on.
Oh yeah.
It all comes back around to toxic relationships. But yeah, I found myself in friendships that were making me feel awful, but I didn't care. As long as they liked me, as long as I had somewhere to go, as long as, I wasn't by myself. Yeah.
Because along the line you've been told that you have to perform and be liked to be loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also I was quiet, as in I just kept my mouth shut. I wasn't, and I think, yeah, I was safe. My mum was always very outspoken, and she had like a very small group of friends. And when I was younger, I didn't want that. But now I think that's the best thing ever.
Well, because she was honest and she was real and she didn't wear masks.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, she never pretended for anybody. Yeah.
And that's why the group was small, because as you know, when you start to do this work and you start to be the real you and the authentic you without wearing all the people pleasing, the looking for love in all the wrong places, people start to drop away.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to deal with this version of who you are, because
No.
they were adapting to the one that they knew, that people pleased, did everything, said yes.
Yeah, I don't see anybody that I feel like if you knew me before 2016, we probably have no contact anymore, apart from you and I.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
generally speaking, that's pretty much, give or take one or two, but that's how it is. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what about, you've experienced some incredible or incredibly painful chapters, Em, and I remember this one, divorce. I remember you being so excited about this wedding.
Yeah.
It was your world.
I think I speak differently about that now than I would have back then.
Yep.
Back then, it was the worst thing in the world that happened to me, and I wanted to paint him as the problem, but he wasn't the problem. I mean, we weren't meant to be married. We were together when we were in our early 20s, and we got married because we thought we should. But yeah, back then I would have made out him the villain, and
As we do.
yeah. I mean, I was devastated, but what happened was, once I went through that divorce, a lot of things came flooding in, and that's when I first started therapy. Because then my anxiety was turning into panic attacks, and I had no idea why. Like, I was having panic attack. Well, I used to work in emergency, which is how I know you.
We met, yep.
And I had a very big panic attack at work, and I just walked out. And one of the girls that I worked with that was friends with me, she just took me home. She rang the bosses and said, I've taken her home. But yeah, then I had to start some therapy for sure, which wasn't the therapist that has cracked me.
Oh, yeah, opened you like Pandora's box.
I actually saw a lot of, like, maybe three therapists, and I gave them all a good crack, and some of them helped in some ways, but none of them were really doing that much. They just wanted to talk the shit out of everything.
But that's what I say that all the time. Talk therapy does not work.
I say it too.
People get upset with that.
Yeah, and I think some people, when I say it, they think I'm contradicting myself, because I do talk the shit out of everything for the minute, and then I don't want to talk about it anymore. I mean, I can talk about it, but it's not like it's going to be my conversation.
No.
No. But I will talk the shit out of it until I understand it.
Yep.
And then, okay, let's just move on.
And the difference is, with what you did with your next and the one that we both know, they did the inner work with you. They got you to understand your blueprint, your patterning, your conditioning, which is all this, your anxiety, your panic attacks, but it was also why you were under the assumption that it was the right thing to do to get married, because we're conditioned, right? Which is all, like, this is what I talk about all the time to people. Just because everyone else does it, or society says, or tradition, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it, foundational, have to do that.
I mean, I remember the night before our wedding, or 2 days prior to that, my ex-husband and I had an argument. It wasn't that bad, but we'd had an argument, and the night before the wedding, I was telling my bridesmaids, and my mum was there, and all of them said, oh, well, don't worry, you can always get divorced. Like, it was just like, I laugh about it now.
Thing. Yeah.
That was the done thing. We're going through with the wedding. Like, it's tomorrow, so it's happening.
Because you have to save face, right? How do you not turn up to the wedding?
Yeah. I mean, even when I got out of the car, my dad kind of held my hand and he said, are you sure you want to do this?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was like, we can go. And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course we're going to do it. But yeah, anyway.
Wow. So, all right, and then we had losing both parents.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I remember these moments for you, and they were tough.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I lost my dad when I was 37 from cancer, and I did not cope with that at all. I either wouldn't leave the house, I wouldn't go back to our family home for over 12 months.
Wow.
I wouldn't leave the house, or I would leave and go on a bender for 3 days. And that took a big hit for me, and a lot of guilt in things that happened when we were kids. You know, I have a toxic sister who I have no contact with, and have had no contact for probably 15, 20 years, apart from when my mum died. And so all of that came up because I felt really bad for how my dad was treated through all of that. And so, yeah, then we went down another rabbit hole, therapy again for a long time. This therapist wasn't too bad, but wasn't really hitting the marks. Like, I felt good while I was in the room, but I'd come home and the issues weren't resolving.
Well, that was just validation for how you felt.
Yeah, yeah. And I just, like I did fall into that victim category, like,
But we all do.
why is this happening to me? I'm too young to lose my dad, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And then your mum.
Yeah. And then my mum was 6 years later. And this will all coincide with my toxic ex, because I met him just as my mum was getting really sick. And I remember saying to him on the first date that I don't think I could get into a relationship. He was already making it clear that I knew him from school.
Yeah.
He was already making it clear in the first date that he was looking for a relationship. And I remember saying on that date, I probably wasn't going to be in a position to do that because I was about to care for my mother. And my now therapist, he said he knew straight away. He knew
You were
straight away.
vulnerable.
I
Yep.
was vulnerable, and he was going to hone in.
Be the rescuer and the saver.
Yeah. And that was the worst time of my whole life, because I was driving from Cronulla to Camden at 9 in the morning, feeding her breakfast, staying there with her, feeding her lunch, then going home at 3 p.m. to get ready to go to the studio, with an ex that hadn't been abusive yet, but the manipulation was starting, because then I was feeling torn, like I shouldn't be going to my mum every day.
Yeah.
It was dreadful. And also then not understanding, because I'd never really witnessed a toxic relationship, so I didn't know, this was all new to me.
Yeah. It's horrible, isn't it?
I went through everything trying to think, is he bipolar?
I
Has he
remember
got
you doing
health
that.
issues? Yeah. I tried to find any answer until the first time he threw me around the room. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Em.
Yeah. And that was 2 weeks after my mum died. He did
And
that.
nothing can change that for you now. But I look at you now, the woman that you are. But I also watched you go through this toxic relationship, and to see, and this is what they target: an independent, strong woman. And I'm going to say it's for men as well, because I know men that have been in a similar position. But what he did was put you on a pedestal,
Yeah.
and the only way you can come, and the only way they can get you is by bringing you down.
Yeah.
And you would have noticed that cycle you would have seen little parts, but not realized it was a cycle.
Yeah.
You would have made excuses.
Yeah, absolutely. Because every time he would do something that I didn't understand, this was before he assaulted me the first time, I would make an excuse for it. And then he would come back, with the grand gestures and everything, which now I understand is part of the cycle, and think, oh, he's just, I thought he was depressed, really. And then at one point I thought he had schizophrenia, because he locked himself into a spare room and he just wouldn't speak to me. we would go days where he just
Well, that was
live in
punishment.
live in the same house, and he wouldn't speak a word, and I just could not understand it.
There's such a heavy, dark energy around those people, isn't there?
Yeah,
And you're such a light, and at that stage you were very light and bubbly, and you're full of life.
yeah,
Was there ever a time where you thought, I don't know if I can keep doing this?
yeah. So the first time I left him, which was a year later, which was after like a fairly decent assault. So I hadn't told anyone about anything prior to that, but I literally had to run out of the house and call the police, and and moved out. Went and stayed with a friend, and then got a new lease. And he broke into the new house, found me, broke into the new house. I had to decide whether to play nice or get the shit beat out of me again. So, I would play nice and think I'll just figure out a way to get him out without it being too, explosive. And that then, then that became a problem. I ended up moving 4 times, and 4 times that happened. So for all the people that say, just leave, like I hate that when people say, oh, just leave. You actually have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, they don't, because they've never lived it.
Yeah. And after the first time I left, and he broke in, and, and it essentially looked to the public like we were back together again. But in my mind, we weren't really back together again. I was just trying to survive. And that meant he was in my house again. And I lost so many friends during that, because they all just said, well, if you don't leave, we can't be your friend.
It's such a horrible space to be in, Em. And there is a really amazing reel on Instagram, and it shows a policeman interviewing a woman about being abused and all these things in a toxic relationship, and he was basically saying, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you report this? Why didn't you? And he just kept pushing and pushing, and then the woman, it was actually a rape case, and the woman's husband was standing there, and he walked over to the police officer and he put a knife to his throat, and he said, how do you feel? What's going on in your body? And he was explaining how the brain works, and the fight or flight and all of this, but fawn and freeze, right?
Yeah.
And what happens is our safety is so important that we'll do anything to save ourselves. And if that means being silent and putting up with the treatment, we'll do it for the fear of losing our life, right? And until you actually get that help, you can't escape it.
Yeah, and on top of that, I just lost my mum. So essentially I was an orphan. I'd lost my mum and my dad.
Double whammy.
I have no contact with this sister, and I have no other family. So I was literally, he would always say, well, I'm your family, I'm your family, I'm your family. And I literally, and of course I believed that, because I don't have any, at the time I was like, I don't have anybody else. And I never really got a chance to grieve my mum, because it was all about him after that. Like,
which is their cycle.
Yeah, he would say, well, what about me? I had a relationship with her as well. I was just like,
oh my God.
Yeah, the wild things he would say.
But now you know that, you see it, right?
Oh yeah. And that's when I found, I'm happy to say, like, that's when I found Scott, my therapist. That was in 2018. And he was the first person that actually got somewhere, like really quite quickly. But ironically, it took him 5 years to get out of me that I even had a sister, because I would never mention her.
Wow.
He couldn't understand. He used to say, like, you must have had a narcissist in your life, because that's why you've let a narcissist come into your life and you haven't learned the lesson. Yeah. So, and for a while there I was thinking, maybe my mum was, but I would always say to Scott, she's not. And my dad definitely wasn't. No. And I was like, I was just trying to find little things about my mum to try and fit that. Well, there must be a narcissist somewhere. And, you can find narcissistic traits in anyone. That doesn't make
everyone has them. It's whether they get activated. Yeah.
That doesn't make them a narcissist. They just have some little traits.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find, and then he sort of let that be and said, like, you could be the exception to the rule, but it's unlikely. Yeah. And then after 5 years, I somehow mentioned this. Well, I'd said about my ex that he had the exact same personality trait as the sister I have no contact with, and he just went, oh my God.
Got it.
he was like, how have you never mentioned her in 5 years? And I was like, didn't I mention her? And he's like,
Thought
no.
she was irrelevant.
Yeah. And
Wow.
everything that he would do to me, she would do to me when I was younger. And yeah. And
And
then
now it makes
here we
sense.
go. Yeah.
It is a cycle, and sadly, people don't understand the cycle until they're fully in it, and then it is so hard to leave unless you either get that next stage where you can get that help. But this is where this comes in. You often talk about doing the inner work. What does doing the inner work actually mean to you, and how did it change your life, Em?
Yeah. I think I hear a lot of people talk about going to therapy and they only go like a couple of times and then that's it,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of infuriates me. I'm like, it's not really something you stop. And even if you get to a point where, so Scott had said to me about 2 years ago, I think you're pretty good, Em. I don't think you need to come as regularly anymore. And I kind of was like, are you breaking up with me?
No, not another.
And he's like, absolutely not. He's like, I just don't think you have to come every single month. Like, you're pretty good. But I think for me, yeah, it's consistency. Like, you have to go, and when things are really triggering you, you have to figure out why they're triggering you, because then that's something you haven't sorted out.
Yeah.
And I still have big triggers. Like, I'm happy to rattle them off. And also self-awareness. Like, I think it's funny, a lot of people say, yeah, I'm self-aware. And I think in my head, no, you're fucking not. Like, you absolutely are not. Like, just because you say it doesn't make it true. Like,
Nope.
yeah,
Actions speak louder than words.
yeah. People say, oh, yeah, I have a huge high pain threshold, and then take a day off when they've got a cold. Like that. It's that kind of thing. Like, that's that kind of comparison. Yeah, I have self-awareness. You don't. You
Yeah.
absolutely, you make everyone in the room walk on eggshells, and you are okay with that.
Yep. Well,
And
the
yet
thing
you're
is,
saying
yeah,
self-aware.
yeah. And as you know, with the inner work, it's a lot of shadow work. It's a lot of reflection. It's a lot of looking at yourself and what part of you is not healed that brings these type of people and situations in.
Yeah, and as much as like it was difficult for like to do that work, that was one of the things I really loved about Scott, is that he wasn't just there to pat me on the head and say, there, you're okay.
No.
Because I remember when I was with my ex, there was obviously lots of times that there was arrests and things. He did eventually go to jail, but they would always send him to, these courses on being aggressive and things like that. And these therapists would always tell him he was doing a good job. And it used to infuriate me, because then he would come home and beat me up.
Yeah.
And I remember emailing one of the therapists once in such a state, going, stop telling him he's doing a good job. And then he comes home and assaults me.
Yeah.
Whether they got that or not, who would know, because patient confidentiality. But that's what I loved about Scott. Like, he wasn't just going to pat me on the head and say, you're doing a good job. And I think, I would say to anybody that's seeing a therapist, if your therapist is telling you and isn't challenging you at all and telling you to fix the things about you, then you need to change therapists.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely, Em. Couldn't agree more.
yeah.
If they're not triggering us and if they're not making us accountable and owning our own shit, they're not doing their job. It's all about money and they're there.
Yeah, if they're constantly saying that you're right and the person that you're talking about is wrong, then you are not with the right therapist.
100%. Thank you, Em. That is something I struggle with when people come and they've been told that they're not the ones with the problem. And I'm like, takes two people. You've attracted this person and situation. I'm not saying you deserve it.
Yeah.
There's something in you that's brought this in.
Like, you might not be the toxic one, but you obviously, there's things that you need to change about yourself.
Well, there's a wound within you that's attracted it.
Yeah.
There's something in a belief system and a core need that's being met by being around those people.
Yeah.
So you're amazing. So you survived a relationship that nearly cost you your life, and I'm saying nearly cost you your life.
Yeah.
Looking back now, were there warning signs you ignored? And what would you tell someone who might be in a similar situation today, Em?
Yeah, I can rattle off so many warnings. Like,
Please
so many.
do. I just got goosebumps saying that, because
Yeah.
there's so many women and men out there suffering with this.
Yeah, and because I'd never been exposed to it, I just thought, oh my goodness, finally the love I've been looking for. But yeah, I mean, first of all, if someone is like too full on too quick, that's like the first red flag. No one should be talking about moving in together after 3 or 4 weeks of dating. That's crazy. Um, and generally, I think, and I read it all the time, but I know it happened to me. They will tell you what they're like. They will tell you who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're in love, you don't believe it, or you think they're joking, or you think it's just in jest. No, they're telling you. They're warning you. They will
So
always.
right.
They will always warn you. Yeah, there were things that he said, like just before we moved in together. Like the night before, he said, "I'm really scared. We're going to move in, and I'm going to do something, and it'll ruin everything." And that rings
An
in
admission.
my brain. Yeah. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And so I put the words back in his mouth and said, it always takes a while to find your feet when you're living with somebody, and of course, like, it's not going to be a bed of roses straight up. The logical part of my brain was
Absolutely.
saying that, but no, he was saying, I know that I'm violent and it's going to happen. I think any time someone tells you who they are, believe them. And something that Scott has always said to me, and I tell it to everybody: a good person doesn't pretend to be bad. A bad person pretends to be good. So if you're meeting a person and they have two sides, believe the bad side.
Because it's the other one's a mask to get you
Yeah,
in,
that's
right?
right.
And one
Yeah.
of the big things I've learned, and everybody that knows and listens to my podcast, my dad was a full blown coercive and malignant narcissist,
Yeah.
and I attracted a lot in my life. Not all of my partners, but most had some sort of trait.
Mm.
And because that's what I knew as being healthy, what I was told was healthy, it didn't phase me. But when I was in it, I knew it was unhealthy. But
Yeah.
logically, I can tell, but my nervous system said, no, it's cool. It's what you're used to. You can do this. But
Yeah.
I look back to my last one, Em, that took me through my awakening and was very violent and not a good person at all. But straight away got to know my history, used my trauma and wounds against me,
Oh,
used
yeah.
them for weaponizing,
Yeah.
took me away from my family, my friends,
Yes.
isolated me from anything that was safe. And luckily I had done some work. So I was starting to recognize, and what he didn't like was that I was actually starting to recognize what was happening. So the fight got harder,
Yeah.
and the abuse got stronger. And
Yeah.
and I remember feeling afterwards, how did I let myself get back into here? And I'm sure because of the times you went back, there was times where you thought that yourself.
Yeah. I mean, so thank God I started seeing Scott after the first year. This went on for 6 years, I
Yeah.
should say.
Yep.
Um, so after the first year, I started seeing Scott, and just didn't tell my ex that I was even seeing a therapist. Um, and then eventually I did tell him I was seeing someone, but obviously didn't say it was because I said it was because of my mum dying. But thank goodness I was seeing Scott while all of this was happening. And the times that, I mean, I say go back, but I think I hate using that word because he would infiltrate back into my life and not let me out.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to survive. I was just trying not to be killed. And that's not being dramatic.
It's not.
Like,
I can vouch for it. I saw
yeah,
you.
he almost killed me.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even the worst of the assaults that I got. So all these times that I went back, I would go to Scott crying, like, and apologizing to Scott, because I thought I let him down. And Scott was like, "Oh my God, please!" Like, and the statistic is when you're in an abusive relationship, generally women will go back 7 times before they actually leave.
Yes.
And like, that's almost spot on for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, my ex was arrested and put in jail for a little while, and he got out and then came back and assaulted me like they do.
Wow. That's horrid.
Yeah. And then that court case was pending because we were in our second lockdown. Well, we'd been in the first lockdown. And then the court case happened a few days before we went into the second lockdown, and he was let off with just a fine after, he was on bail when he came and assaulted me again, and just got a slap on the wrist and a fine.
System.
The system's terrible, but the only thing that saved me was that second lockdown, because it was a hard lockdown.
Yeah.
And his bail conditions were to stay with someone that was
Away.
an hour away. Yeah.
Wow, Em. Look. So while all of this has been happening, you were building a hugely successful. I want to go to the beautiful part of your world here. A hugely successful business. How did you continue leading, teaching, and showing up when your personal life was falling apart? Because I know you kept working.
Yeah. Ironically, and I've spoken to you about this, every time something big and bad happened, I seemed to expand the business. And I don't think I did that well, I know I didn't do it intentionally, but when I look back, I'm like, there's obviously something in that. Like, I literally expanded every time there was a huge trauma. I think it was because it was my only safe space. It was the only thing I was proud of. There was no way I was going to let that go down the drain, because it was all I had. No family, minimal friend support, nothing. But I had this.
Yeah.
And it also had a huge community of women. And even if they didn't know my story, I could just forget about it for a couple of hours. But yeah, it just seemed to expand from there.
Emma, I watched you go from teaching my daughter, who is now 30,
Yeah.
and that small little group that you used to have, and you adored those girls, and that passion of dancing was like, it was just all over you. That was your world, right?
Yeah.
To know that you've gone through everything you've gone through, and there's still another part to this story which we're going to get to know that each time you were knocked down, you got back up. And you didn't get back up out of, screw this. It was a inbuilt resilience that
Yeah.
just went, I'm going to keep going. But you're also a massive advocate for keeping women safe.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows that Danceworks is a safe space. Everybody there, it's clear there. My teachers know that it's free to talk about that. It's free to talk about my situation, because, 1 in 3 women are in a domestic violent relationship, and I have 500 women at my studio. That's a lot of women. So I want to make sure they know that if they can only get out of the house for 1 hour, that's the safe space to go. And if they need to message me, I don't want to get involved in everybody's stuff, but I can give them the resources to help them get out. But yeah, that place has saved me. My dog Billy, and Danceworks has literally
Beautiful
saved my
Billy.
life. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. And what do you believe is the biggest factor behind your success?
Um, I've, I've, I've thought about this, and I toss and turn about what I think it is, but um, I think it always comes down to community. Like, yes, we provide a really good service. Yes, we have quality training. Yes, we have amazing teachers. I've got amazing staff. I think that it's the community, and that's, I think, because it took me a little while. It wasn't always that way. We had some bad eggs, and thankfully by then I was learning some boundaries, because once upon a time I would have just let that happen. And we removed the bad eggs, the people that were making the classes not a great experience for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I know is posted on social media all the time from other students. The first thing everyone says is just the community's amazing. Yes, it's a great, yes, there's great classes, et cetera, for all levels, all of the business stuff, yes, but the community and how welcoming everybody is. And I just know even my teachers, if they're having a rough time at home, they're happy to come and teach there, because that's where we all feel good.
You've made it a beautiful space, Em.
Yeah.
You've absolutely, you've taken so many things and made a life for yourself. And the growth and the expansion you've had is phenomenal. And I love that you mentioned Scott, because I know Scott personally and I have actually had some interaction with him, and he is amazing.
Yeah, he is.
But I guess the thing I want to end off on is, if someone listening today feels broken, defeated, or defined by their trauma, what would you want them to know?
That it absolutely doesn't end there. Like it doesn't. And I know that I've felt that way many times, where this is never going to get better. It's never going to get better. But if you have the right therapy, it's like, I know it just sounds so cliche. I hate that it's even coming out of my mouth, because I hate cliches, but it is true. Like, if you get the right therapy,
Yeah.
you're going to be like a much better version of yourself, and your life will be great. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not defined by what's happened before, or, you know, how many friends you've got, or how many boyfriends you've had, or, you know, like,
It's not. Yeah.
it's not.
That's amazing. And you're so right with the who you go to for help and to do the work,
Yeah.
because without the right, because as we just discussed before, talk therapy isn't like, yes, great to talk, great to be heard, great to be seen. But the problem with talk therapy is people often get stuck in the victim mode because they are being validated.
Yeah, and I
And
think a lot of people want to stay in that. Like, I know
100%.
I know people that have gone to therapists that have, like Scott,
Mm, mm,
and haven't liked the
no,
pushback on them, so they
no.
stop going and go to someone else that makes them feel good. And I'm like, well,
Yep.
nothing's going to change.
Yep. I actually did a post a few weeks ago on, or months ago now, on talk therapy doesn't work, and there's been such a flood of yes, yes, agree, and the ones that come at me with, well, not for you, but it works for me, I just go, that's all right. You don't want to
Going to
do
happen
any
with
further work.
absolutely
I don't even buy into it, and I always say
yeah,
talk therapy is great, but you need other modalities, as
yeah,
you found out, to get through each layer and to work out why these particular things happened, why we attracted them, what's the wound, why were we such a people pleaser, why did
yeah,
we look for love in all the wrong people? Don't get it unless they've been pushed, or
yeah,
they've been you know, it's discomfort, and there is no growth without discomfort or without reflection and actually looking at yourself. Would you
yeah,
agree?
yeah. This whole mentality, like that, oh, it happened to me.
Mm.
Like, all these things keep happening to me. Well, then change something.
It happened for you to have a look.
Yeah,
I was the same, Em, and you know that after my accident, I was like, how could this person do this to me? I was out for revenge and rah rah rah. And now I thank that person,
yeah,
because it put me down the path that I went on, and it made me heal a hell of a lot of childhood
yeah.
trauma,
I
and
mean,
it's
yeah,
given me a new life.
yeah. I mean, like, I know I pull myself up a lot, thinking, like, my reactions to things that are much different now.
Mm.
I think, oh, there is growth, because you don't just wake up one day and go,
No.
oh, look how much better I am. But, like, like, I've just been diagnosed with cancer in November, and I tell you, the old me would have said, why is this happening to me? Oh my God. But I've just got on with it. I
Mm.
had big surgery. I was back at work after 8 weeks. And I think people look at me like it's not still happening. They just think, oh, well, that's done. Because
Yeah.
it just, because I'm not going to say, oh, this happened to me. Where, like, I just got to get on with it. You must get on with it.
Well, I think when you messaged me when you got the cancer, I was like, oh my God, another hit. Seriously?
Yeah.
But what I did love about you is we stayed in contact, but there was never that woe is me. You were like, that's right, I've got good support, I've got this. As long as I get the help, I get the treatment. And the reason I reached out to you for this was because you are a true warrior.
Well, thanks, Tash.
I mean it. I
When
have
it says
goosebumps
that.
everywhere. And you are the most phenomenal, strong, resilient woman. And I know what you've had to get through to get to here. And it hasn't been a walk in the park. And it hasn't been hiding. It's been facing your stuff.
Mm.
It's been getting back up and learning from everything that's gone on in your life. And this bowel cancer just recently has shown another side again to your resilience.
Yeah. Thanks, Tash. I appreciate you saying that. I think the only downfall is that I really don't tolerate people that are the opposite. Do you know what I mean? As soon as someone says I've got a cold, I think talking to the wrong audience here, mate.
So maybe just go, well, that's okay, it's not me. A little bit of compassion. Oh, well, if that's
Yeah.
what you need. But you are phenomenal. I want to thank you for your time today because I know how busy you are because we've been trying to do this for a while. You
Yeah.
are one of the most amazing women. I thank you for sharing with my community and my podcast people. You are just an absolute, as I said, warrior. And I would love anybody that wants to live. Emma's in Sydney, down in the Sutherland Shire. If anyone that wants to get into her dance studio, I will have the link in the podcast and you can reach out to Emma. And as I said, it's such a beautiful community, or as Emma said, it's such a beautiful community. I've watched this expand over, 20, 30 years. What she has is a family.
Yeah.
She has a beautiful family, and there is so many different types of people in that community. Would I be wrong?
No, yeah, 100% correct. Yeah.
So I would love anyone that wants to get into dancing or just get into the community and look at what Emma's doing to reach out to Emma. Again, thank you so much for your time and your vulnerability and your honesty today, Em. Like it's beautiful to have you share this, and you know what? It may just help one person.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't care if I don't care how many people it reaches. I mean, I do care, but if it helps just one person listen to it and go, oh my God, I can get out of this.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely
So
can.
thank you from the bottom of my
Thank
heart.
you.
And we'll just keep doing what we're doing and healing and growing and helping as many people as we can.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tash.
Thanks, Em. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. And what a phenomenal story from Emma. She's just amazing. So look forward to any feedback or anybody that wants to reach out. Please do, you know where to find me. And obviously, this is the work I do in Unshackled and in my program. And obviously, my podcast goes through all of these pillars that I use. And what Emma shared today and with her therapist is exactly what I do, and more than happy for anyone to reach out if they find themselves in this situation. Thanks again. See you all next week.